Okay. So, hey, I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise, and I'm here with one of our phenomenal authors, Agatha. And we're going to jump right into 20 questions.
Let's do it.
So, the first question is, what's the first book you remember reading?
The first book I remember reading, only because I read it over and over and over again, was the Three Billy Goats Gruff book. And I would have my mother read it to me every single night.
Oh, wow. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite author?
My favorite author is Tom Racina. And it isn't only because I'm not sure if anyone really knows of him, but I have read his works probably about 25 years ago.
Wow.
And it was the only book that I read more than once
Wow.
without being told to on my own.
Got it. Very cool.
Hmm.
Who influenced your writing?
I would have to say my aunt influenced my writing because she was always interested in anything that I had to write and provided positive feedback every time and would give very minimum critical feedback, which didn't hinder any of my writing moving forward, but just allowed me to continue being creative and make mistakes.
Oh my God, I love her.
She's the best.
Um, which books made the biggest impact on you?
I would have to say Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I think that had the biggest impact on me because it was the reason why I moved forward with writing Before You Met Me. I had a draft written for the book about 21 years ago,
okay.
and I restarted it over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I read his book and decided, you know what, I think I'm approaching this in the wrong direction, and I would like to try his style of writing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hmm.
If you could read only one book for the rest of your life,
Ooh, ooh. I wonder if I would pick Tom Racina again to read over again. But I would have to say one book that I never get bored of is To Kill a Mockingbird, and I have
right?
probably about four different types of copies, vintage, and I don't know why. And it's I've taught it a bunch of times to my students, and but I do not tire of it.
Wow, me too.
Yeah.
Me. Um, what do you reread all the time?
So that I would have to go with Tom Racina's Snow Angel.
Hmm.
And I think he also would add to my top of contributors to my writing because prior to the social media that we have now, the only way I could get in contact with him 20 some odd years ago was via email, AOL,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
he did reply, and he did reply to me, and that was very not many authors would do that, just not many stars would do that. No one would reply back, and he did, and that was very, very thoughtful.
Wow. Um, what book would you save in a book burning?
Ooh, can I pick To Kill a Mockingbird again?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the classics I would save because I feel like metaphorically they are all in a book burning as we speak.
Uh,
There's a lot of banned books, and just seeing a lot of books that are off the shelves. That there's something to the classics that we need to continue to have on our shelves with allowing other types of genres to enter into our literature.
mm,
So it's not out with the old, in with the new. It's let's have everybody on board.
yeah, I love it. And what inspired you to write this book?
At first, I was just writing it because I was looking for a outlet to my environment. And I had decided that I wanted to tell my story, except I wouldn't verbally tell anyone my story.
Mhm.
I wasn't being honest about myself or my life.
Mhm.
And so, as a young woman, I decided to write my story. But I noticed that it was very hard and I was struggling to get the words out on the page. I knew what I wanted to say, but actually admitting to it, it was very difficult
Mhm.
until I met with my therapist, who I had asked her, "Hey, listen, it's 2020 and I have a goal and this is what I would like to do." And she said, "Sure, let's work on it little by little. And you can come and you can read it to me."
Mhm.
Where she would just set goals for me, like you could write 10 pages on this day for this week. And if you don't, that's okay. And over a year later, we had a finished product. And I have to thank her a lot for that.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, who did you actually allow to read the book as you were writing it?
So my therapist was allowed to read the book as I was writing it. She was the only person who I
Mm.
allowed to read it. After it was written, I had asked my husband to read it, and he insisted, and I said I waited as long as I possibly could, but and he read it, and he read it on his own, and I said I don't want any comments. I just want you just to acknowledge that it was written, and the very minimum nonverbal comments that he gave me showed a lot of the emotion about what he felt about my book.
Wow. Oh gosh, I love them both. I'm just saying. Um, if you were at a dinner party with four seats, what four authors or other people would you invite to the table?
Hmm. I would definitely invite Jason Reynolds because was the inspiration to writing my book. I would invite, hmm, who else would I invite? I mean, not an author. Well, like, I guess, yes, he is an author. I would say Barack Obama, I would invite. I mean, he did write his book only because I have a China set that my mother thinks I'm saving just for him to be invited to my house. But so he'd have to be there for dinner. But I would also think that I'm trying to think of some of the other authors that um, are not really as much mentioned. So, for example, like Ernest Hemingway, I would like to know his story,
Mm.
and just visiting his home at one time on a vacation, and Edgar Allan Poe as well. I would invite because I want to just see inside the dark mind of his, try to just get an understanding of what he was envisioning as he was writing his works.
Oh, totally. What's your drug of choice?
Oh, pizza will kind of be my drug of choice. I love
Love.
a good New York slice of pizza.
There you go. And what book is your guilty pleasure?
Well, I would have to say, what my guilty pleasure? I don't know if it would be like a guilty pleasure, more or less of a book or a book set that I enjoy often reading by Emily Giffin, because it's very real to our life, and also romantic in a way, but she allows us to be into her thoughts, where we feel as if we are part of the character. So anytime that I see a book published by her, then I instantly pick it up because I know that will give me the pleasure that I'm looking for.
Oh, I love it. What movie or TV show is your guilty pleasure?
I would have to say, for movie, Dirty Dancing is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God.
Dirty Dancing.
I haven't heard that in so long. Now I need to go watch it. Okay.
Yes.
Do you read with music or with quiet or another sound?
I do not read with music. I read in silence. I often love to read prior to going to bed. And really, it's the time that my kids and I can lay on the bed together and just read prior to going to sleep. So it's a nice bonding time. Slash, we're all reading different books, so it's really nice.
Oh, awesome. If you could ask for one thing to change the world, what would it be?
Change the world. I ooh, I think I would have people take time to stop and actually think about what they're going to say before they actually say it, and process how it might affect others,
Mhm.
and um, kind of show empathy towards others in the world, before just jumping to conclusions.
Ah, yes, 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 yes. um, what does your reading environment look and sound like?
So, with if I'm not in bed with my children reading any novel, then my other place that I like to read is out on my deck.
Mhm,
And I love reading there, especially in the morning on the weekends when I have time, when the kids
mhm,
are asleep. And I am able to go out there and just read, because I think the sound of nature, combined with just reading and being part of fresh air, really has a different sense of a feeling. And with that being said, also in the summertime, being in the Northeast, reading on the beach is my absolute fave. I
oh,
can sit there and read on the beach all day.
love it. Oh my gosh, love it. Do you prefer paper, ebook, or audio?
That's a tough one, because I 100% prefer reading a paper book. And it might just be a combination of the feel of just knowing you have that book in your hand, and the feel of turning the pages. It just creates some type of comfort that you have grew up with and are familiar with. But I have to say that recently, just economically, that I had purchased a Kindle, and
Mhm.
I have been reading books on my Kindle, and that has been very useful. And in terms of saving space in my house, there's so many bookcases that I can have. And because once I receive a book, I don't want to give it away. I'll let people borrow, but I want them back.
Mhm.
And so economically, I'd have to say that is the best. But I do once in a while pick up another paper copy book and have it with me tucked away.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, who would you cast as your main characters and why?
Ooh, so someone I would choose as my main characters.
Mhm.
I actually thought about this the other day. I don't even know why it popped up, but I had thought one person that I would think would be similar to my main character would be Selena Gomez. And
Oh, yes. So
And I
smart.
yeah, and I don't know if it's just because I was watching the show with her and Steve Martin and Martin Short, but
Mhm.
and I was just like, oh wow, she's a really, great actress on top of being a great singer. But just something that as a character that I would feel is very mysterious, and you don't know what type of role that she's going to play, and that would be the type of character that I would like to present in my book as well.
Oh, love it. If you could meet anybody, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Who would I meet? I'm trying to think of who would I meet? Who would I want to meet? I think I mean, there's a lot of stars I can think when I was younger who I wanted to meet, but I think it was for the wrong reasons. But I think who I would want to meet would be, I would want to meet Bill Maher. I would like to meet him.
Okay.
I think because he is someone who reads a lot himself, and is very knowledgeable in historic references, and I would just like to pick his brain on particular subjects. And I listen to him often on not only the podcast but some of the shows that he also are on.
Cool. Describe yourself in 5 words.
Quirky, organized, blunt, sporty, and scattered.
Cool. Describe your life in 5 words.
Busy, 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 busy.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And what was your last guilty pleasure? It could be a food, activity, anything.
Oh my goodness. If it was my last guilty pleasure, I would say when I got my eyebrows done earlier today, because I had a 10-minute break laying on the bed with the esthetician.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but honestly, I think like a longer term last guilty pleasure. I really enjoy softball, and I manage a team of girls who are just amazing, and I love being on the field with them. So I'd have to probably say our last tournament.
Very cool.
Mhm.
If you could write yourself into a novel, would you be the hero or the villain, and why?
Ooh. If I had to be honest, I would say if someone told me which one I would I pick and I actually had to start writing it, I'd pick the hero. But I would like to one day challenge myself to actually write the role of a villain or be a part of the role of a villain. I think sometimes it's just difficult to when you want the world to be so kind and nice, and then you have to separate that into your writing and being evil and mean, that I always would want to try to find that good deed or that good part of a person to come out, and it would be really hard, but I would probably have to stick with the hero.
I totally get that. Totally. Is there anyone you dream you could work with, and why?
um I would probably I would like to work with Elon Musk.
Hmm.
I only recently listening to his one of his podcasts, that there's a lot of misconceptions I think that are out there about him, but um just his brilliance in trying to navigate around so many different forms of our future and our technology, that I would like to sit down and just pick his brain on what he foresees as something that's being positive for our future. Economics aside, just really the viability of how we can all live as human beings naturally in this world.
Cool. What animal would you run wild with?
Oh, any wildcat. Give me a snow leopard, give me a regular leopard, a lion, a cheetah, a panther. Oh, I love big cats.
Oh my god, that would be so fun. Um, when was the last time you ran wild, and what did you do, and what made it wild?
Ooh. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is when I was swimming with elephants in Thailand.
Oh, cool.
It was really nostalgic, and you would think that these huge creatures were going to drown you in the river that we were in, but they were the most gentle giants and allowed us to bathe them in mud and just to keep them cool and feed them and just spend the entire day with them, and that was like the best experience ever.
It sounds absolutely amazing.
It was.
Um, what is on your playlist?
Mostly, I would have to say 90s. I am a big 90s girl who has everything from alternative music to R&B to the hits of the 90s. I mean, techno, everything. I mean, 90s was so full of so many things. Grunge. Country. I mean, I have everything on there from the 90s, and I love it.
Awesome. Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, or another studio?
Universal, I would
Okay.
say. Universal Studios. They seem to impress me with a lot of, not only when if you were to visit Universal Studios, but like with their movies and the types of actors and actresses that they have on their set. That doesn't seem too money hungry as maybe some of the other ones.
Got it.
Mhm.
Uh, tea or coffee?
Coffee, 100% coffee.
Appetizer or dessert?
Ah, appetizer,
Chocolate or vanilla?
vanilla.
And is there anything else that you want to share?
Um, I guess just that for anyone who is out there thinking that they would like to write their next story, then to go ahead and do it. What's what's there to be afraid of?
Absolutely. And thank you so, so much, Agatha, both for the chance to chat. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And thank you for the gift of your novel. I
Thank you.
can't wait for the world to read it. So
Thank you
awesome.
so
Thank
much. All right.